Welcome to another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? I am so glad that you have chosen to join us and, invite friends. Tell people about us. I am your host, Karen E. Osborne, and I am the author of family saga and suspense novels and mystery novels, including Getting It Right, Tangled Lies, Reckonings, and my historical novel that comes out on the same day as my guest, September 7th. That's not right, though. Is your book already out? Or it's coming out September 7th? Yes. September 7th. So we are like twins. We're book twins. I want you to meet Lisa Febre. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so delighted to have you, and everyone is going to enjoy getting to know you. So Lisa has written a memoir, and I just want to read what one. All of the reviews have been amazing. All of the pre-reviews have just been amazing. I just liked this one a lot, so I chose it. So it says, Round the Twist, which we have to ask her about, how she came up with that title. Round the Twist, a memoir about being incredibly alive and deeply loved. Lisa Febre's journey through the best and worst of what modern medicine has to offer is crackling with detail, intensity, and wit. A balm for the soul and a love story in disguise. And that's from Emily Wright, assistant editor of Strings Magazine. Oh my goodness, Lisa, what a beautiful, she's a writer. That's a beautiful review.
She's a writer and another cellist, and I'm glad you picked that one because I love that review. It came in and it choked me up.
And it choked me up, and I didn't even meet you yet. And I was like, oh my, this is wonderful. So I was looking, so you mentioned that you're a cellist, and I was looking at your website and I saw all of your creative endeavors. You're a writer and a musician and a teacher and a blogger. So just share before we dive into the book and your health journey, could you tell us a little bit about your creative journey?
Sure. So I actually begged my parents to let me take piano lessons when I was 4 because I saw Victor Borge on PBS and I thought that's what making music was. You strap on a seatbelt and you make people laugh. And I was lucky that they let me take piano lessons. And of course, I was disappointed to find out it did not come with a seatbelt. But I went on to play the flute in elementary school and then the oboe. And I have a music degree in oboe performance, actually. And I went out into the world and became an oboist. I played in orchestras from coast to coast. I've done some studio work here in Los Angeles. And about 10 years ago, in the middle of a concert, I got a hernia, which was not fun in the middle of a concert. But after the doctors fixed it, they basically said, we can't guarantee that this is going to hold up against the oboe. Find something else to do. So I said, I'll try this thing. So I decided to learn to play the cello. And just before the pandemic hit, I was actually back to playing in a bunch of orchestras and getting work. So I made a really incredible switch in my career, mid-career at 41. I made this change. So 7 years ago. And it just, I love it. I just love it so much.
And you're married to a musician too, isn't that right?
I am. He's a composer. He writes music for TV and movies. And in fact, I just had to him because he's across the hall working, and he said, "Don't worry, I won't make noise."
Excellent, excellent. So you're a musical family.
Yeah.
So the book, though, is really about another kind of journey. And I wonder if you could just share, stage 4 cancer. I mean, colon cancer. Wow, and so young. What a blow. So tell us a bit about that journey and why you decided that writing about it was a good idea.
So in the beginning, I was one of those people that didn't want to believe that I had cancer. I wanted to write it off as all kinds of other possibilities. At the time I was 47. I'm a lifelong yoga practitioner. I'm a vegan. In my book, like, I don't use household chemicals. I don't use Teflon pans. I make my own deodorant. Like, I'm not supposed to get cancer.
Yes.
I had metastases on my liver, on my ovaries, on my peritoneal wall. I mean, it was all over the place. So it was a little bit shocking. And part of the problem, and I hope I got this across in the book, is that the cancer was not inside the colon, it was on the outside of the colon. So I had had a colonoscopy during the diagnosis process that came back negative. So everybody's looking at that going, well, then we don't know what this is. So that was a bit of a shock and a bit of a blow. So I woke up from surgery. I had a bowel blockage, and woke up from surgery to a colostomy, which I didn't even know what that was. And there was this thing stuck to me. And my husband just in tatters, and he had been hearing all this scary information while I was, out on morphine. So I was getting the better end of this deal. But it was really tough to reconcile, why would this happen to me? And my primary physician, he's a great guy. He just said to me, you didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
There's nothing you could have done. We don't know
Yeah.
why. So
So then why
basically,
write? So why write about it?
right. So there were a lot of celebrity cancer cases recently, in their 40s. There was I'm sorry, I'm gonna forget his name, the guy that was in Black Panther. And
Oh,
he
yes,
was
who died?
right.
Yes.
I think he was 43 or 44. I
Yeah.
mean, he was young. And and there was another actress who just recent. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of us in our 40s suddenly. And I felt like I couldn't relate to any of the colon cancer stories that were already out there, because the average age is 75 or 76 for colon cancer. And I just can't relate to that. People are retired, they're not worried about their career, their children are grown, they're not worrying about a kid in college. And I just felt like, if I don't put this down on paper, I'm not going to remember it. And if somebody else needs help, then maybe something that I wrote down, they might get something out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I interviewed a fellow writer who, I'm not going to remember the name of the book exactly, but it's How I Died 21 Times.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and he wrote about his journey, and I think it does inspire people. And when you listen to this Emily Wright's comments,
Yeah,
that it's a love story in disguise. So I think that must be about you and your husband. That's what I'm guessing. I haven't read
yeah.
it yet, but and I love your cover. I love your cover. So how
Thank you.
did Round the Twist? How did that? What does that mean? Is that your colon?
So, well, I will admit, I love the Harry Potter books. I know I'm not 15, but I love them. There, I read them during chemo to kind of keep things light. I didn't want to read anything heavy, and
Mm,
I came across that phrase in the book, and I believe they used it like, "Oh, she's gone round the twist. Mom's gone round the twist."
ah,
It means that she's gone a little bit crazy, like you've driven
yes.
her to the point of madness, right? And I thought, that's perfect, because the sigmoid colon, where I had my cancer, is the twist right before the end of the colon. And I thought, that is a perfect, perfect
Yes.
metaphor for this.
Yes.
So
Oh, how that's I do now. You give me goosebumps talking about this. I'm getting, like, oh my gosh. So, okay, so you get your diagnosis at the end of December of 2021.
yep.
and your book is coming out September 7th, 2023. Where in this journey did you start writing? You're getting chemo, you're getting, you're sick,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
losing your hair,
yeah,
and you're writing. So when
yeah.
did you start and how long did it take?
I really started writing. There's a story in the book about how the subtitle came out, "Facing the Abdominable," and it's hard for me to pronounce, but I love the word. And I came home from my CT scan and I said, I have to remember this word and I have to remember this story. And I wrote down this story about this little boy who came up with this word. And I realized that by writing this one story down, I was not as afraid as I had been going into the test. I still
Mm,
had a PET scan coming up. I still had all kinds of scary appointments, but just writing about it made me take a step back. So when I got home from the hospital after my diagnosis, I had about 4 weeks before chemo started. And I just started writing about what had happened to me so far. And it helped me sort out the way I was feeling. And I guess I would call it more of journals. I wouldn't say that I was writing with any purpose
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
other than I wanted journal entries to kind of mark what had happened. And then as chemo was starting, my husband was noticing, you know, there's a lot of emotions obviously that come with the treatment itself, much less the diagnosis. And he said, just keep writing, just keep writing. I couldn't play the cello because the hand, I had hand and foot syndrome, and my hands were inflamed and they hurt, and I'm busy all day long. My fingers are always moving, whether I'm playing the cello or I'm typing or something. So I just transferred that to typing, and it basically was every day I would sit out on the patio and I would try to write about something, whether that was the chemo, the emotions, or like in the book, it's intertwined with a bunch of nature stories. And
Mm,
I
mm.
just found like if I sit in the backyard and I watch the birds, what am I learning from them? What's the greater purpose in all this going on around me? And it it kept me busy and it kept me sane through
Wow,
everything.
that's beautiful. So woven throughout the story are the things that, oh, that's
Yeah,
really beautiful. So it sounds like it was very therapeutic, the writing.
it
Yes,
was.
yes. So are you writing something now?
Well, Round the Twist ended. Um, I it didn't really, I wasn't writing towards an ending. I just sort of looked at it and said, doesn't make sense to finish past here. Another Black Rose author, Dave Seaburn, I've known him since I was a kid,
Is
actually.
that right? Oh, I love I interviewed him.
Yeah.
David Seaburn. Catch his interview.
Yeah, yeah. So I've known him since I was like 14 or 15. So he's the dad of a high school friend of mine, a friend of mine. So he had said, submit the manuscript, and I had to find a place to stop. And I stopped where I stopped, but I had about 20,000 words past it. And I just
Mm.
sort of put it away. I said, well, I'm done. The book is done, and who needs to write anymore? And a few of the beta readers kept saying, when's part two coming? And I went, yeah, I guess I could just keep working on what I have. So I've been busy writing about this past year and what it feels like to be now. I was a cancer patient and now I'm a cancer survivor, and it's a different mindset. There's a bunch of different struggles, different things, different victories. It's just a whole new world. And so I've been very, very busy writing that and trying to organize it. And part of the reason that I feel I do need to finish this one is because I just can't find the resources out there for now this part of the journey.
Yeah.
There's, you go to the Cancer Society website and it says, you might be feeling sad, find a therapist. It's like, well, great, thank you. Great.
Need a little bit more than that. Yes. Oh, so
Yeah.
that's exciting. So what are you aiming for? Or you're just gonna write and you'll know when it's the end? Or do you set deadlines for yourself? Or
I try to write every day I try to sit down and either add to it or go back and write, something that's already down, try to expand on it a little bit. I'm having a little trouble seeing right now where this could possibly end.
Mm,
Um, what would be a good ending point for it? But I figured, just like the first book, it will come to me.
it'll reveal itself.
It'll
It
show itself.
it will. It will reveal itself. And are you playing again? Are you able to play again?
I played my first concert a couple weeks ago, and it felt so good. It felt so good. The orchestra, this orchestra, big shout out to the Moore Park Symphony Orchestra. I often say I love this orchestra, and I was one of the people who founded the nonprofit, and I'm going to tear up. I told them that with all the help, all the food, people drove me to appointments. They gave
Mm.
my husband, Grubhub cards, and they took care of my son, and they did all these things. And I said, I am just blown away that they love me back. And when I returned for my first rehearsal, I mean, the amount of people that came up to me and hugged me, and just, there's 75 people and I think they all made a point of coming to see me. And the conductor stopped at some point and said, "Hey, did everybody see Lisa's here?" And it just felt so good to be so loved. The
Yes, to be
music.
back with your music family.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful story. Oh my goodness. There's a good ending for your book. Just saying. That's a fabulous end. Just end with all the hugs and the even if it's a flashback. You know what I mean? Even
Yeah,
if you took it further and then you're reflecting on that end, because that's a gorgeous end.
great. That's a great way to handle that. Oof.
Yes. So this is what are you reading? What are you writing? And so we'd love to hear about any books that you've read recently that you could it doesn't matter what genre it is that you could recommend to our audience.
Absolutely. I've been dying for this part. I have a friend, and we've known each other for about 20 years now, mostly online and on phone calls. That's how we know each other. She is a writer and a comedian, and she wrote, I have it sitting here. This is how
Oh,
much I
let's see.
love the book.
Yeah, let's see.
It's called Stay: My Forever Friendship with an Aging Dog. And
Mm,
it's beautiful. I've read it, at least 3 times now. And every chance I get, I'm like, you have to read this book. Her name is Lisa Rimmert. So we always joke and we say the Lisas, we'll sign our emails Lisa too or whatever. And it's about the last year or so with her dog, and coping with watching your beloved pet
mm.
turn senior and have health issues. And it's funny, it's sad, but it's just such a great testament to the love that we have for our pets. And I
That's
just
that's
I love it.
beautiful. I have a dear friend who has a dog. She's, in human years, she's now 90 years old. And she's, she has health issues, but she's still, her tail is still wagging and her tongue is still licking. And oh, but if the dog dies, I won't buy it for my friend just yet. I won't.
But it's just so, I'll hold it up one more time. I
Yes,
love it. And I love the title. I think the title is just beautiful. It
it
was a
is.
stroke of,
And the
I
cover is beautiful.
that great. It was painted by a friend of hers. And I love it. And I just kind of, I kind of ghost her online. So if she is like, somebody buy my book, I'm like, yes, buy her book. It's so good. And it's self-published. So she needs all the,
Yes,
yeah,
all the support that she can, all the
exactly.
support. Well, you should send her to me and we can interview her.
I will.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, tell our audience how they can find you, how they can come to a concert, how they can read read your book. Are you in pre-sale yet?
Sale yet. We just finished. The cover is done. The final PDF galley has been approved and done. So I got my, it's out there. So I should be getting pre-orders soon. You can go to lisafebre.com, and I'll be posting all the links there, however we're going to be selling it. And on Facebook, you can find me, Lisa Febre Author. And I believe it's the same link on LinkedIn. So
Excellent.
finally learning how to use LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much for visiting with us. And I hope that you will follow Lisa, that you will go to her lovely website, go to her website, follow her on LinkedIn, follow her on Facebook. And if you are already following me, my YouTube channel, my Facebook author page, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, I would love to see you. Thank you again for being part of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? And I hope to see you next week. Bye, everybody.